Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to another meal prep video. In today's video for breakfast prep, the last pumpkin recipe of the month. I'm gonna end the month out with a pumpkin recipe, and that's gonna be my pumpkin pancake bake. And then for lunch, it's gonna be Sloppy Joe Casserole. And then I'll be putting together my DIY dinner kits and also my snacks. So if you wanna see how I pull this all together for my husband and I for the week, then stay with me. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Kristi and I'm planning us healthy. If you are returning, welcome back, and if you're new here, welcome. My name is Kristi. I'm currently following the WW Blue program, but I do provide points for all three programs, and I also share calories as well. However, you don't have to be on any type of weight loss program to get tips and ideas from my channel. I'd love to have you as part of the family by clicking the subscribe button. Also make sure to click the notification bell because that's what notifies you anytime I upload new content. So I typically meal prep for my husband and I for just 3 days, and then later in the week we do something different, or sometimes we may have to bump something, like maybe on Tuesday morning I don't eat my breakfast, so I'll bump it to Thursday. But typically it's just for 3 days. For my dinner kits, we do something fresh every day. All I'm doing is putting all the ingredients in a bag and getting it ready for the week. All the recipes you see me sharing will be linked down in the description box below, and I'll also be sharing links to things that I use, like my meal prep containers, my scale, different items that you see me using. I try to link those down below. And finally, make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you like meal prep videos. It really does help my channel, lets YouTube know that you like these type of videos. So with all that out of the way, let's get started with this meal prep. So starting with breakfast this week, like I said, we're gonna be doing pumpkin pancake bake. This one is 4 points on blue and purple and 5 points on green, and calories is 182. So this recipe makes enough for 6. So let me run through the ingredients real quick. We're gonna need 2 cups of buttermilk Kodiak cakes. We're gonna need 1.5 cups of unsweetened cashew milk or almond milk. You can use whichever one you want, and you can even use the vanilla flavor. I've used that and it comes out just as good. We're also gonna need 1 cup of pumpkin. Make sure it's regular pumpkin and not pumpkin pie filling. 1.5 teaspoons of pumpkin pie spice. 2 teaspoons of vanilla. 1 egg. 3 tablespoons of brown sugar replacement. I'm using Swerve this time. Usually I use the Lakanto Golden, but I'm all out of that right now, and I did have some Swerve, so I'm just gonna use this. And finally, for the topping, I'm gonna use some Maple Grove Farms sugar-free syrup. For the syrup, what I usually do is just put them in these little containers. I picked these up at Dollar Tree for 10 for $1. And I'll just put those in the meal prep containers with it, and that way we can drizzle it over the breakfast. So I put in up to 1/4 cup. You can have 1/4 cup of this for 0 points, but we don't usually eat. I would say we probably only end up using about between 1/8 and 1/4. As always, make sure to put all the ingredients into your own tracker, because depending on the brands that you use, those could be different. So what you want to do first is take a 13 by 9 inch pan, spray it with some cooking spray, preheat your oven to 350 degrees. Now I'm going to take my red bowl, my infamous red bowl. I'm going to take my scale and put my bowl on my scale. And the reason for that is anything that has like a flour-like consistency, I like to weigh it out, because if you measure 2 cups and you weigh 2 cups, it's 2 totally different things. Usually when you put it into a measuring cup, you're getting a lot more than 2 cups. So what I do is 1/2 cup of this is 53 grams, so I need 2 cups of it. So it's going to be 212 grams. All right, it keeps toggling between 11 and 13. Close enough. So now we're gonna add the rest of the ingredients. So the 1 egg, 1.5 teaspoons of pumpkin pie spice, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, the 1 cup of pumpkin, and the 1.5 cups of unsweetened almond milk. And then we're just gonna mix that all up. So one thing with this, the consistency of this pancake bake is a little bit different than my other pancake bakes. For this one, the pumpkin really makes it moist. So if you don't like it that moist, you could definitely back off on some of the pumpkin, or maybe even back off on some of the milk. And I almost forgot about the swerve. So we need 3 tablespoons of brown sugar replacement. Okay, now give that a good stir. All right, now what you want to do is just scrape the bottom to make sure that you don't have any flour pockets. And also, if you don't crumble that brown sugar, make sure that you've got that all broke up in there, because that likes to clump together if you don't break it up first. So just make sure it's all nice and smooth. So now just take the prepared pan and dump everything right into it. And then just spread that all around. And just double check, make sure you don't have any big clumps of anything in there. I would say the best thing to do, honestly, is just to kind of break that brown sugar up a little bit. Now, something to keep in mind, this is not a cake, so it's not overly sweet. It is pancakes. Pancakes are not overly sweet, so where you're going to get the sweetness is when you put that syrup over top, or whatever it is that you're putting over the top. But something optional is you can take a little bit more brown sugar and just put it right over the top, or if you want to add a little bit of pumpkin pie spice over the top, you can do that as well. I'm just going to do a little bit of the brown sugar. Okay, that's going in a 350-degree oven for about 30 minutes. Okay, pancake bake is done. As you can see, those are the little spots where I had the brown sugar. So I'm gonna just set that aside and let it cool for a little bit. And then what I'm gonna do, we're gonna make 6 portions. So usually what I do is cut it into 12, and then I have 2 pieces into each meal prep container. So I'll just let that set, and then I'll get them in the meal prep containers. While that's cooling, I'm gonna take my sugar-free maple syrup, and I'm just going to put some in each of these containers. I pretty much know from previous use how much I can put in each one of these containers to know what is a serving, and I know if I fill them like halfway, it's definitely not going to be more than 0 points. And actually, it's a good thing, because that's all I have left of this. Alright, now we'll set all that aside. So I'm going to use my 1 compartment meal prep containers, and as always, I'll link these down below. I absolutely love these. So I only have 5 of those though, so I'm going to use 1 of them. I'm going to do a 2 compartment container. So now this should be cooled down enough. So now I'm just going to cut it, like I said, I'm just going to cut it into 12. So there it's cut into 6, so each portion is that big. They're pretty good portions. So then I just take it and cut each portion into 2. And let me just show you what it looks like on the inside. So that's what it looks like. So see what I mean? Not real big and fluffy. Some people have said that they've added baking powder and it fluffs it up a little bit. So you can definitely play around with the recipe. So like I said, we're gonna put 2 in there. And then the syrup. Something else you could do is if you wanted to have some fruit, maybe some berries or something on the side, you definitely could do that. Okay, so that is it for the breakfast. That is the pumpkin pancake bake. Moving on to lunch. For lunch this week, we are doing Sloppy Joe Casserole. I love this one. We make this for dinner sometimes as well. So for this one, the nutritional facts, the points and calories are going to depend on the type of meat you use. I have nutritional facts for ground turkey breast and extra lean ground beef, which is the 96% lean ground beef. If you use the 93% turkey, I don't have the points and calories for that, so just make sure to figure that. The points and calories using ground turkey breast are 4 on blue, 2 on purple, 6 on green, and 245 calories. If you're using the 96% extra lean ground beef, it's 6 on blue, 4 on purple, 6 on green, and 251 calories. Now the way I'm doing it today is kind of a little bit of a mix because I had a half a pound of ground turkey breast here. So I want to use that up. And then I also have some 96% extra lean ground beef. This is actually a little bit less than a half a pound. So I'm going to be having a little bit less than the total pound that this recipe calls for, but that's perfectly fine. So for the ingredients in this, you need 1 pound of ground turkey breast or 1 pound of extra lean ground beef, or like I said, if you use the 93% turkey, just make sure to account for any additional points or calories. We're also going to need 3/4 of a cup of manwich. We need 6 cups of Ore-Ida hash browns with onions and peppers. This bag is actually, the 9 servings comes out to 6 3/4 cups. So what I usually do is just cook the whole bag and then I take out a little bit. My husband will end up eating it with his dinner or something. So it's almost this whole bag. So this is a 28-ounce bag. And then we also need 1 can of corn. I have on the recipe 1 can of corn drained, but I always rinse it also. So I've already rinsed and drained that. We also need about a half a teaspoon of salt and pepper. Honestly, I probably won't use that much salt, maybe like a 1/4 teaspoon. We need 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. And the other thing you can use is 3/4 of a cup of Velveeta shreds. What I usually do is just top each serving with 1/8 of a cup of the Velveeta shreds, but I'm not going to be doing that today. I'm actually not going to be putting cheese over the top of them this time. They're just as good without it, and it will also save you a point. To get started, I have 2 pans on my stove. I have a big one over here that I'm going to use for the hash browns, and then I have this one that I'm going to use for the meat. So I have both my pans sprayed with cooking spray, and I have both of my burners on about medium. I think I'm going to turn the one for the hash browns up to about medium high. So I'm going to put the meat in the smaller one and then the hash browns in the bigger one. We're actually going to combine them at the end. All right, so then just kind of break up the meat a little bit. And now we're going to add about a teaspoon of garlic powder and then the salt and pepper. And then just start that cooking. So now while that's cooking, we're going to move over to this pan and add in the potatoes. And now, like I said, I have this one up to about medium high. The meat I have cooking on medium. So this is going to take a little bit of time. What I'm going to do is just kind of keep flipping it. I'll let it sit here for a little bit and kind of cook on the bottom and then flip it over and let it cook more. So this is going to take a little bit of time. So I'm just going to let both of these cook. Alright, so that is pretty much cooked up. So now I'm going to get my manwich. So I'm going to need 3/4 of a cup of manwich. We're going to dump that right into the meat mixture. And then just mix that together. And then just kind of let that simmer on the stove until the potatoes are done. So the meat, as you can see, is nice and bubbly. Now what I'm going to do is just add the corn, and then I'm just going to stir that corn right in, and then this is all going to get mixed in with the potatoes as soon as the potatoes are done. Okay, now I'm going to shut the potatoes off. Those are pretty much browned, and keep in mind we're going to be heating these throughout the week, so it's okay if they're not completely browned. Now just add in the meat mixture and the corn, and just stir that all together. Once that is all combined, now I'm just going to take it off my burner and just let it cool for a little bit before I put it into the meal prep containers. So now while the Sloppy Joe casserole is cooling down, I'm going to cut up some cucumbers. So I have these mini cucumbers that we're going to have with it. And what we're going to do, I am going to be using this light Italian dressing with mine. For this kind, it is 1 point for 2.5 tablespoons. And my husband is going to be having this Garden French, Healthy Choice Garden French. And I can't remember what the points on this was. I want to say it was 2 points for 2 tablespoons. I'll pop it up down below. But the calories on this are 45 calories for 2 tablespoons, and the calories on this one are 30 calories for 2 tablespoons. So there's not much left in these. I was actually gonna take my little round containers. Again, I get these from the Dollar Tree. I was just gonna portion these out in this. I think what we're gonna do is he'll just take this with him for the week to work, and then I'll take this one with me because there's like really hardly any in there. And we really just kind of drizzle it over it anyway. And then what I'm gonna do is use these little silicone cups to put in my meal prep containers. That way I can pull them out in order to heat the Sloppy Joe casserole. So one thing with these, if you want to just wash them, you can do that. I'm going to be peeling mine because I'm not going to be eating the skin. So completely up to you. So there we go. That's all we'll have, and we'll just stick that in the container. And like I said, I was going to put the dressing over here, but I'm just going to take the whole bottle with us. Okay, so now I'm just portioning out the Sloppy Joe casserole. Basically, all I do is take the pan and split it in half, so that way I can kind of gauge how much a sixth of it is. But if you want to get real technical, in fact, what I used to do in the beginning is you could go through and weigh the whole amount and then divide it by 6 and then weigh each portion to know how much you're getting in each one. Now these two back here are my 3 compartment containers, so I'm trying to fill those half and half. The final thing I'm going to do is just go through and add a little bit of pepper to the cucumbers. And that is it for lunch prep. Okay, moving on to dinner kits. For my dinner kits, if you're new to my channel, basically I'm doing DIY meal kits. So kind of if you've ever had meal delivery kits where they just send you what you need, that's all I'm doing. I'm doing it myself. So I've mentioned before that I sometimes use Home Chef. I get Home Chef delivery, and that's kind of where I get a lot of my inspiration from. I love their recipes. In fact, this one here is a recipe of theirs. I'll be linking you to their website. So if you're not one to order from Home Chef, basically what I do is go to their website and print out some of their recipes, and I just do it myself. Or any recipe, anybody's website, you can go through and kind of do your own dinner kits. So basically all I'm doing is portioning everything out, weighing out, and putting it in the kit, and that way it's all ready. When I get home from work, I pull the kit out and I make dinner. No measuring, everything is already done for me, and that is what I love about these dinner kits. So to figure out which ones I'm doing, I'm only doing 2 this week. So basically what I do is just go through my meal plan for the week, and if you're interested in these meal plans, I have these ones and a 5-day one on my website. It's at planningushealthy.com. I'll put a direct link to these down below. So what I do is just go through my meal plan, and oh, I forgot to write Wednesday night's dinner. Wednesday night we're doing garlic herb pork tenderloin. I'm doing that one a dinner kit. But I just see if there's any that I can kind of pre-prep. So tacos, there's really not anything I can do to pre-prep those. Those are kind of one of those things, just make it. Fridays we're doing stromboli, so no prepping for that. And honestly, I don't like to prep my dinner kits out that far. So today's Sunday, so the most I would go is maybe to Thursday. But Thursday we have company coming, so Judy, I can't wait to see you. Actually, by the time you see this, we'll have already seen each other. So Thursday night I won't be prepping for that. So that's basically what I do. So what I'm doing with this one, like I said, this is a Home Chef recipe. I will link it down below. So whenever I order Home Chef meals, I usually do the low carb and low calorie ones. This one is 608 calories, but I did make some tweaks, of course. And so I was able to lower the calories down to 369 calories. So this is going to be 8 points on blue and green, that should say purple. 8 points on blue and purple, 9 on green, 369 calories. So what I do is just go through and see everything that's in there and just see if I can make some tweaks. So 1/2 ounce of pepperoni, I'm using 10 slices of turkey pepperoni, and then the 1/2 ounce of grated Parmesan. I'm just gonna do 1/3 of an ounce, so I've just weighed that out. So basically, this is all I'm doing. I just write on my bags. These are reusable silicone bags that you could get from Amazon. Again, I'll link them down below, and I just write on them with a dry erase marker. Washes off fairly well. You can't put these bags in the dishwasher because of the seal. It will wreck the seal, so keep that in mind. They do have to be washed, but they wash very easily. I usually just wash them and then just hang them over like my silverware or something to dry. So for this one, it does call for 5 ounces of corn kernels plus a zucchini. So it's basically Parmesan, corn, and zucchini. Because I'm using corn in with the lunch, I don't want to have that much corn, so I'm going to do some broccoli and zucchini. So I have some broccoli florets that I've cut up. I don't wash these. I wait and wash everything the night that I have them. I also have 2 garlic cloves that I just throw in there. I have my zucchini that goes in there. And then here I have 10 slices of turkey pepperoni. So I've just put that in one of these containers. Here I have 2 slices of part skim mozzarella, so that's another change I did. This says 1.5 ounces of mozzarella cheese slices, so I'm using 2 slices of part skim mozzarella. So again, make sure you put it into your own tracker because the type of cheese you use, the brand, this is Publix, each one can be different. So I think it probably depends on the thickness too, and these ones are fairly thick. So 2 slices of that. I also need some panko. They have Italian panko blend. I'm just gonna use regular plain panko. So I have 1/4 cup of that. And then 2 ounces of marinara. If you wanna lower the points and use 0-point marinara, you certainly can do that. I'm using Prego traditional pasta sauce, so I have 2 ounces of that. It also calls for 1 teaspoon of onion salt. I didn't have any onion salt. I had onion powder and minced onion, so I just put a little bit of minced onion in here. The last thing we need is like I said, it calls for 1/2 ounce of grated Parmesan, but I'm just using 1/3 ounce. So basically what I did is just went into the WW app and put everything in, and then I kind of looked to see what the points were, and then I just tweaked it and adjusted it based on the points. I try to keep my points less than 10 a night, but I always also pay attention to the calories as well. So as you can see, this is pretty low in calories. So then that goes in there. And finally, I have 10 ounces of ground beef. So on their recipe, it says 10 ounces of ground beef or 12 ounces of Impossible Burger. That's because if you order from them, you can choose which one you want. If you're not one to do your own DIY dinner kits and you are interested in trying out Home Chef, I will put a link down below. You get $35 off your first order. So that's the 10 ounces of ground beef. And also I'm using 96% extra lean ground beef. That's one thing. Theirs just comes, I'm assuming, with just regular ground beef. So I'm using 96% extra lean. And that, in fact, is why I was a little bit short for the lunch, because I have 10 ounces in here. So that means I only had 6 ounces instead of 8 ounces of the burger for the lunch. And I'm gonna be careful with my sauce. I'm gonna make sure that's standing for now. Actually, no, I'll lay it down because these get laid down in my fridge. So that's all I do for my dinner kits, and then I just lay them in my fridge flat like this. I don't like to stand them up just because I usually put the vegetables at the bottom, and I don't want all that weight to squish the vegetables. So I just lay them in my fridge just like that. And like I said, they don't stay in my fridge more than 2 or 3 days. The meat is usually frozen. In fact, for this next recipe I'm getting ready to put together, I don't even have my pork tenderloin out of the freezer yet. This one I will be having Wednesday. So the meatloaf one I'll be having tomorrow night. So that's fine that that meat is thawed already. And the pork tenderloin, it would still be good. Even if it was thawed, it would still be good for a couple days. So that's fine. But since I'm not doing this one till Wednesday, I'm going to pull it out of my freezer now. For this one, I've done this one so many times. This is one of our favorite dinners. I think we probably have this maybe every other week or every 3 weeks. So this is garlic herb pork tenderloin with roasted potatoes, carrots, and gravy. This one is really easy to pre-prep. So 10 ounces of pork tenderloin. And like I said, I just took this out of my freezer. So I have my pork tenderloins that are cut into medallions. I just cut them up into smaller pieces. And then we need 12 ounces of carrots. You don't have to be exact. In fact, I have 13 ounces. So I just put these in the bag with my potatoes. So 12 ounces of carrots, 12 ounces of potatoes. If you want to cut back on the potatoes, you certainly can. Usually I use the big russet potatoes and I make potato fries and carrot fries. But I just have baby potatoes that I need to get used up, so I'm just going to use those this week. So carrot fries and then just little sliced potatoes. And then the other things we need are the topping for the pork. So I've already pretty much got this started. This is a 1/4 ounce of chives, or it's actually about 1½ tablespoons of chives. I just took the green part of a green onion, chopped it up. And then I also have a garlic clove in there that I've grated. So just so I can make some room here, I'm going to put my carrots, and actually I have to break that carrot because that's really big. And throw the potatoes in there just so I can make a little bit more room. And then to this, I'm just going to add a 1/2 tablespoon of olive oil and a tablespoon of stone ground mustard. And as you can see, if you do the olive oil first, that mustard slides right out. And then just mix that up. And that's the topping for the pork. So if you're new, these dinner kits aren't necessarily meant to show you how to make something. They're just meant to show you how I put my dinner kits together. So then that goes in there, and my pork tenderloin. And then I usually put a 1/2 cup of Heinz pork gravy in there. I usually just measure that out. But they did not have any Heinz pork gravy this week, so I'm just using this McCormick pork gravy. So I'll just toss that in there. But you don't have to keep that in the fridge, obviously. So that is all I'm doing for dinner kits this week. Finally, moving on to snacks. Usually for snacks, I have fruits or vegetables that I'm cutting up, chopping up. This week, I'm not going to be doing any of that because my snacks and desserts that I'm having this week are actually some things that I am making for a video. So I am not going to be sharing those with you. By the time you see this, I think at least one of the videos will probably have been up. So this week, all I'm doing is just portioning out some pretzels, and I have some goldfish here. So the goldfish, you can have 32 goldfish for 2 points. So I just have 32 in these bags, and also these bags, again, I'll link down below, silicone bags. One of these, I'll show you what I meant. Right here, this one went through the dishwasher, so that's why you can't put them in the dishwasher. It just can't withstand the heat, the sealed parts. So I'll link these down below, but I know that they have some that can go in the dishwasher, so I can link these, and then it should give you other ideas for other ones. These ones here are ones that I get from Grove, so I use Grove for my cleaning products and some of my like shampoos and soaps. I really like them, so that's where I get these ones from. And then the other thing I have is some pretzels. If you saw my recent Sam's Club haul, I got a big thing of sourdough pretzels. So these are what these are. You can have 10 of these for 3 points. So I just went ahead and put 10 in each bag. That way I'm not just reaching into the container and grabbing them. I know these are 3 points. I know these are 2 points. I can just grab a snack when I want. I don't always have them, but that way they're there and ready. Sometimes I'll do a Laughing Cow cheese wedge with these as well, but I'm not putting that in there this week. And then the other thing I have is Snack Pack sugar-free pudding. These are 2 points or 70 calories. And then I mix some PB2 in with it and just kind of makes it like a peanut butter chocolate. And you can also put in some Ready Whip or Cool Whip with it as well, and it makes it kind of like a mousse. So that's all I have to do for snacks this week. And another successful meal prep. So make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. If you're new, I hope you'll consider subscribing. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll talk to you in my next video. I'm Kristi, and I'm planning us healthy. Don't you know that you're beautiful?